As everyone knows, except for their black ears, masks and limbs, giant pandas are covered in white fur. As a result, people often jokingly complain that the black and white bears have never made it past the age of black and white photos. However, there is one unique giant panda that realized the impossible dream of capturing them in color. When you see him, don't just assume he is a dirty giant panda covered in mud. Brown is actually his natural color. This brown giant panda is named Chizai. In 2009, he was found by conservation personnel on a routine patrol in the Qinling Mountains. After that, he's been living in the Qinling Research Center of Giant Panda Breeding, Shanxi Academy of Forestry. Chizai has remained brown throughout the years. According to the data, Qinling is the only area where brown giant pandas have been found. From 1985 until now, 9 brown giant pandas in total have been spotted in the Qinling area. Giant pandas, which are endemic to China, are divided into 2 groups: the Sichuan giant pandas and Qinling giant pandas. Some scientists think they are 2 subspecies. Originally, pandas in Sichuan and Qinling of Shanxi belonged to one large group, but later were separated from each other by the Jialing River, and more recently separated further by the impact of human activities. As early as 50,000 years ago, they broke off their ties, became isolated, and were unable to mingle. Hence, they embarked on separate evolutionary processes. Sichuan and Qinling giant pandas also show significant differences in form and may actually be subspecies. Take their skulls, for example. The Sichuan giant panda exhibits a larger head and smaller teeth, but the Qinling giant panda is the exact opposite. The Sichuan giant panda, with its long head, looks more like a bear, while the Qinling giant panda, with its round head, looks more cat-like. In terms of coat color, the Qinling giant panda's fur on its chest and abdomen tends to be brown. However, when compared to Chizai, though, who has the most brown markings, it's insignificant. After all, he is the only giant panda in the world that's made the leap to the color photo age. The giant panda has survived on Earth for at least 8 million years. Easily recognized for its black and white color scheme, the average life expectancy of a giant panda is 25 years, which is equivalent to 75 years in human life. In the Chongqing Zoo lives the world's oldest living giant panda. This female panda is named Xinxing, and it is 37 years old. This is equivalent to more than 100 years in human life. Its caretaker has prepared a special birthday cake for Xinxing. Comparing with cakes and fruit, Xinxing much prefers bamboo. And although quite a senior at the age of 37, her daily diet still requires about 30 kilograms of bamboo shoots. Xinxing was born in 1982 and is the oldest living giant panda in the world today. Xinxing is currently the big boss of the entire Chongqing Zoo. Living in its own villa complete with a verdant garden, the slopes and steps are gentle, and there is a pool for her to cool off. The configuration of the whole backyard is like a senior home for giant pandas. Although Shenzhen is very old, and its various physical attributes have declined, including very slow movement, but it is still very healthy in every regard, except for a slightly high blood pressure. As of 2018, 137 giant pandas trace their ancestry to Shenzhen, and they live in more than 20 nations and regions across the globe. As her clan continues to expand, Shenzhen leisurely enjoys her last years with 5 generations of posterity to her claim. Perhaps this is about as joyful and honorable as it gets for an old panda. Giant pandas, China's national treasure, are also a bridge for friendship. They travel over the world to help more people understand pandas and Chinese culture better. Wherever these giant pandas go, the epidemic pandamania assuredly follows, undoubtedly lauding their charms. On June the 23rd, 2017, at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, the 4-year-old female giant panda Meng and 7-year-old male Jiaoqing started their journey to Berlin, Germany, as friendly envoys from China. After they arrived, the Germans held a monumentous welcoming ceremony, and Xu Mingde, the former Chinese ambassador to Germany, and Mayor Michael Müller of Berlin were in the attendance. On July the 5th, 2017, with the opening of the Berlin Zoo Panda House, Meng and Jiaoqing began their public life in Berlin. Meng and Jiaoqing's arrival excited people from all over Germany, which ballooned the zoo's daily visitors from about 2,000 people to nearly 10,000 people. Of course, Meng and Jiaoqing generously shared their charming nature with the visitors, who fell in love with them. On September the 1st, 2019, Meng gave birth for the first time to a pair of twin cubs. This event marked the inaugural occasion a giant panda travelled to Germany and gave birth there, causing quite the sensation. Presently, Meng's cubs have become the new stars at Berlin Zoo. Now, the family of 4 pandas will continue to bring happiness to the citizens of Germany. The giant panda, a rare animal only found in China, has lived on the planet for at least 8 million years and is reputed as a living fossil. Since the 1970s, China has embarked on a journey of conserving and learning more about the giant panda. Over 3 decades of efforts have gradually unveiled the mystery behind the giant panda's habitat. Wild giant pandas inhabit alpine areas in China with an altitude that sits between 1,200 meters and 3,500 meters above sea level. The altitude gap vertically induces a primeval forest with distinctive features in all 4 seasons. Rich climate types and massive natural vegetation have guaranteed that the alpine areas have remained the most ideal home for giant pandas and the most distinctive mountain wildlife paradise in the world. To better improve giant panda conservation, many nature reserves have been established in China, which have found forests that are well maintained and are the most suitable for giant pandas and their neighbors. However, it's extremely difficult to visit a giant panda, the ancient forest dweller, since their habitats are covered in topographic features that are difficult to traverse. The peaks and deep valleys echo snowy mountains and running water, with bold cliffs and waterfalls that spill out everywhere. It is because of China's research and conservation work for over 3 decades that we can witness the beautiful wild home of the giant pandas. With the loud sound of crying baby pandas, the silence of the afternoon was broken. A giant panda mother, Cao Cao, gave birth to a pair of twin cubs, He He and Mei Mei. They are very special twin babies who were born with the Guinness World Record TM certificate because they are the world's first pair of hybrid panda babies. Dad from the wild and mother from captivity. Cao Cao is known by many panda lovers because of her child Tao Tao, who is the world's first giant panda to be released into the wild and survived. Since 2005, 11 captive giant pandas have been released into the wild, and 9 have managed to survive. After more and more captive giant pandas have been successfully returned to the wild, experts proposed a new idea, bringing the genes of the wild giant pandas back to the captivity environment so that the newborn giant pandas would have stronger living ability in the wild. So, in 2016, China Conservation and Research Center for the Giant Panda turned this idea into a reality. Cao Cao was shown to participate in this challenge because of her rich experience. After a series of training courses, Cao Cao, with enormous responsibilities, finally went to the snow-covered forest. In less than a week, she adapted to the complex and dangerous wild environment. After entering the estrus period, Cao Cao's activity increased, and she began actively to move to the densely distributed areas of wild giant pandas. Fortunately, Cao Cao quickly married her lover and successfully accepted the mating, and soon was able to give birth to the beautiful twins, He He and Mei Mei. Now, her twin cubs are more than 1 year old. They live in the panda kindergarten, healthily and happily. The success of the giant panda Cao Cao's trial has opened more possibilities for captive giant pandas to their natural habitat. Also, it has motivated researchers to continue their explorations to protect the endangered wildlife. In January 2018, Huabao and Jin Baobao, they set off from their hometown Sichuan, China, and took a special plane to Finland. They will spend 15 years in Finland. Before leaving, the Finnish breeder Anna, who came to meet them, was very nervous. Yet the 2 giant pandas, Huabao and Jin Baobao, were very calm. After more than 9 hours of long-distance flights, they arrived at the Atari Zoo. After a short period of adaptation, they quickly became involved in the ice and snow world of Finland. In fact, because these 2 giant pandas love to play in the snow and roll up into a snowball back in China, the Finnish giant panda fans had already given them the Finnish name Lumi and Pilu, meaning snow and snowy. Today, 2 giant pandas that are rolling in the snow are in line with their expectations. Now, 2 giant pandas have fallen in love with the land of Finland. They are lively, smart and healthy.
久闻今天，不知天上宫阙，今夕是何年？我欲丈夫归之，唯恐兄偶遇雨。高处不胜寒雨，几不梦境影。
The people of Atari also fell in love with them. They have blessed them in every Chinese traditional festival. This has become a must-have for two giant pandas in Finland. I believe that Jin Baobao and Hua Bao will definitely have a pleasant journey. In most cases, when a panda cub is born, it weighs between 80 to 200 grams. In 2019, the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, female giant panda Chengda, gave birth to a pair of twins, of which the female cub weighed only 42.8 grams. As fragile as Thumbelina, a new miracle in life. On June the 11th, 2019, at 14:41 in the afternoon, female giant panda Chengda successfully gave birth to its first female cub, Chengfeng. Chengfeng weighed 171.9 grams at birth. In the evening, Chengda gave birth to a second female cub, Chengleng, but Chengleng weighed only 42.8 grams at birth, not even the weight of an egg of a hen, becoming the world's smallest panda cub. Chengleng weighs only a quarter of the normal birth weight of panda cubs and measures only 2/3 the length of her sister, Chengfeng. But its desire to survive is exemplified in its extraordinary perseverance. Since it is too small, it could not obtain milk from its mother. Personnel at the base found ways to acquire milk from its mother to feed the tiny cub. The most proficient panda cub care expert team was dispatched to provide 24/7 feeding, supervision, and the care of the infant, monitoring its breathing, mental status, feces, and other aspects around the clock. Under the meticulous care of the keepers, Chengleng grew every day. And a month later, her size approached that of her sister. See, it is already trying to learn to crawl. This resolute cub, named Chengleng, will surprise us in the future. In the wild, gather a group of people who are not daunted by the frigid water, sweltering summer, or daunting environment. They come from different places, but share a common goal, which is to help giant pandas return to their natural home. This is the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, Dujiangyang Field Research Center for Giant Pandas, Panda Valley, a place where captive giant pandas will be systematically trained. Researcher Bi Wenlei and researcher Jake Owens from the United States work here primarily to teach captive giant pandas the survival skills they need in the wild, and to maintain the wildness in their nature. They will guide captive giant pandas in foraging for food and water in their natural environment, so that in the future they are able to find food in the wild on their own. Generally, captive giant pandas will undergo at least 1 year of adaptation and training, and then enter the actual wild environment for transition training. The Lizaping Nature Reserve, located in Ximian County, Sichuan Province, is a perfect place for giant panda transition training into the wild. Researchers meticulously observe and record giant pandas every day. By the amount of feces collected, they can estimate the giant panda's ingestion. Collected feces will undergo epidemic disease and intestinal microorganism detection as a way to determine their statuses. In addition, researchers also utilize a satellite positioning system to regularly detect the areas where giant pandas are active and check their physical condition to better help them return to their natural environment. In 2018, in the Daxiangling Nature Reserve, the Panda Returning Home Project pilot site was launched, which means giant panda reintroduction went a step further. This wound up being a long yet arduous journey. But no matter how rough the path to the future is, and how many challenges we will face, we will be with you and accompany you home. You might have spotted this strange panda man in the background of a video about wild pandas. When someone needs to care for one of these wild pandas, they wear these strange panda coats. What are they for? In fact, these panda men don't just wear panda camouflage. They also smear on themselves some feces and urine from panda mothers. This helps cover up their human odor, helping to stop the panda cubs being trained in the wild from bonding with people. This is the panda's training ground at Tiantai Mountain. It covers an area of about 1 square kilometer and is 2,450 to 3,100 meters above sea level. It is an ideal location for panda men to train giant pandas to survive in the wild. 2 female giant pandas, Qinxin and Little Walnut, are learning the skills they need to survive in the wild. Before they are released from care, they need to learn how to live in the natural environment. After the wildness training, the panda men carry the pandas from the training ground to the foot of the mountain for a physical checkup. After experts have confirmed that they're developing well and that they're healthy, it's time for Qinxin and Little Walnut to be released. That day arrived on December the 27th, 2018. When their crate opened, the 2 female giant pandas raced into the forest to start their life in the wild. This was the beginning of their gradual integration into the wild giant panda population. And it's an important moment for the panda men to see how well their students thrive in nature. At this time, giant panda Yinghua's newborn cub is lying in the arms of his mother and sleeping soundly. Just 2 months old, the cub is still very dependent on his mother. Yinghua, 14, is an experienced mother. To take care of the baby, she has been around day and night, always holding her precious baby tightly in her arms. Compared with the time when he was born, Yinghua's cub has grown a lot. The hair around his eyes, ears and limbs has completely turned black, giving rise to the unique appearance of a giant panda. Although giant panda cubs are sleeping most of the time, they grow up surprisingly fast. Yinghua's cub is no exception. The breeders who weigh him every day know this all too well. For most of the time now, Yinghua participates in outdoor activities with her cub. She has built a nest in the corner of the outdoor enclosure. Her cub also likes this corner very much. He often dozes off here. Now, more than half a year old, he's capable of taking part in outdoor activities on his own.
回家了，哈，回家了，走，跟我一起回家哈。哎呦，你吃到我的脸上，
Yinghua's cub is growing fast, and the box cannot fit him any longer. Thanks to his striking red hair, which is different from that of other giant panda cubs, Yinghua's cub has attracted many eyeballs. Fans even gave him an interesting Chinese nickname, Panda Hai, which sounds similar to Panda Hai in English.
这是樱花的小乖乖，然后这个也是前几天那个网络上比较关注的一个胖大海，然后很多人关注他为啥子毛色这么红，其实是他妈妈可能更舔得更多的这种原因造成的。
In the blink of an eye, winter is here. Panda Hai is now climbing a 10-meter tree. At the age of 1.5, he has mastered the essentials of climbing. Don't be fooled by his bulky build. He is actually quite flexible in climbing trees. Yinghua often looks for her child by the smell he leaves. Panda Hai looks at his mother naughtily from the tree. Yinghua has found him. Yinghua is always worried about her cub when he's on his own. She still considers tree climbing a dangerous activity, especially when the tree is this tall. Mum's scolding and nagging is inevitable. We don't know if years from now, Panda Hai will recall this ordinary afternoon he spent messing around with his mother. Everything is the same just like any other day. But Yinghua's cub, Panda Hai, may realize one day in the future, in the wild, that this might be the most carefree time in his life. Generally, female pandas mature at 5 years of age. Then they can enter estrus, mate and give birth to a cub. There was a giant panda that when she became a mother for the first time was 51 years old in human years. Named Lily, the giant panda was born in 1992. and is 27 years old now. When Lily was 2 years old, she traveled to South Korea for 4 years and was the ripe age to reproduce when she returned to China. However, with the nickname Sick Shi Shi, Lily has been weak and in poor health since she was a cub. Her first 3 matings failed, which, for both Lily and the keepers, was disappointing. In 2009, under her keeper's considerate care, Lily improved significantly. She reached a weight of 105 kilograms, which was the most she'd ever weighed. Good news continued to pool in. Lily was pregnant. On July the 19th, 2009, Lily delivered a pigeon pair of twins and became mother at 17 years old. In the following years, Lily delivered a female and a male cub in succession. Her male cub, Oreo, was born in 2012. With his gentle character and distinctively large head, attracted plenty of fans online and successfully rose the ranks to become an international giant panda star. Lily became a mother in her autumn years. However, she loves her babies more than the young mothers around her and also enjoys and cherishes her hard-fought happiness. At the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, every year we will see a bunch of adorable giant panda cubs that are so attractive because of their black and white coloring and chubby bodies. Among these darlings, however, grey ones unexpectedly appear. On June the 5th, 2019, in the Sunshine Nursery House at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, Ji Xiao, the first baby panda of the year, was born. The adorable little cub grew every day. But something strange had happened. People discovered the baby panda was surprisingly grey at birth. It turns out that at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding lives a family whose members have all been grey upon their birth, nicknamed the Grey family. In the Grey family, the most representative is Ji Xiao's uncle, Chongzhou, who, with grey arms and mask, looks like a grey and white panda, thus has been dubbed a faded national treasure by netizens. Of course, their family's grey fur will gradually darken during their development. At 1 year of age, they'll become normal black and white giant pandas. Take a look. The one called Ji Xiao, who's grey all over and lies together with her peers, is quite different from the others. But shortly afterwards, this grey cub will darken and look like the rest. At the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, every year we will see a bunch of adorable giant panda cubs that are so attractive because of their black and white coloring and chubby bodies. Among these darlings, however, grey ones unexpectedly appear. On June the 5th, 2019, in the Sunshine Nursery House at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding, Ji Xiao, the first baby panda of the year was born. The adorable little cub grew every day. But something strange had happened. People discovered the baby panda was surprisingly grey at birth. It turns out that at the Chengdu research base of giant panda breeding lives a family whose members have all been grey upon their birth, nicknamed the Grey family. In the Grey family, the most representative is Ji Xiao's uncle, Chongzhou, who, with grey arms and mask, looks like a grey and white panda, thus has been dubbed a faded national treasure by netizens. Of course, their family's grey fur will gradually darken during their development. At 1 year of age, they'll become normal black and white giant pandas. Take a look. The one called Ji Xiao, who's grey all over and lies together with her peers, is quite different from the others. But shortly afterwards, this grey cub will darken and look like the rest.